Good afternoon. I'm Teresa Cutlip with the Purchasing Division. Welcome to this afternoon's session on correctional industries presented by Guy Perry. It's scheduled to last 1 hour. We do have some of some of you may have printed out your PowerPoints ahead of time, or you could follow along on your screen. All PowerPoints are posted on our conference website at westvirginiapurchasing.gov. This applies to all the PowerPoints that you had seen this week during our virtual conference. If you did not log in with your first and last name, please log out and back in order to receive credit. If you have multiple people in your agency viewing from a single computer, please complete a sign-in sheet and send to purchasing.training@wv.gov. Everyone attending today will receive a certificate from Course Mail, but that will take some time because we have to pull reports from WebEx to confirm participation. Please give us a couple weeks before calling to ask about your certificates. For today's presentation, we'll be answering questions throughout the presentation, so go ahead and put your questions in the chat window and send to the host. And we'll get started with Guy Perry.
Oh boy. Good afternoon, everybody. I know that some of you are probably disappointed because I told you 3 years ago this was the last time, that would be the last time I'd be doing this. So I'm just as surprised as you are to be here, but I am kind of glad to be here because it's air conditioned. It's just a little different. I'm not used to making presentations this way. I'm not staring into this camera because I'm afraid of it, but all my notes are stuck over here on my left-hand side, and I need to see them because if I don't, instead of that hour Teresa was talking about, we might be here until 5 o'clock. But if I can see these notes, we might be gone out of here by about 3:15. I've got a lot of things I want to cover. And for those of you that have been here and heard me talk about industries a lot, this beginning is going to be a lot of repetition. You know that I am passionate about this agency. I've been here. I was just telling Teresa, she told me she started here in March, and I did too, March the 1st, 1998. And I've been here all that time, spent a long time trying to build a brand name for industries, and just am helping out as much as I can to keep it that way. I'm going to tell you a little bit about industry's history, but I want to tell you why I'm doing this. I have been back as a temp ever since I retired. I had 6 weeks off, and then I came back to train the guy that we hired in my position. And my last day was December 28th, 2018, and I came back on February the 12th, 2019. In the infinite wisdom that our state has, you all know that you can't hire somebody in a position until the person there has left. So they finally got him hired. I came back to train him. Been here ever since. And I just couldn't let it go because he was having some problems with certain things. He did a great job in some things, and in some things he had some problems, and I tried to help. And then we had to get our website changed, and Eddie asked me to stay and take care of that, which is a pain in the rear end. I used to get so disgusted because our website had gremlins in it. But I'm going to say this, and you'll probably laugh there wherever you are, but the only thing that eased my mind about that is every morning I read a devotional from Billy Graham's website. And for 3 days in a row, his was down. So I thought, man, if those gremlins can mess with his website, they can do anything they want to ours. So that has just been my main concern until lately. And then back around the 1st of July, maybe even earlier than that, but up until, to be honest with you, the day before yesterday, I've taken several calls in the office from people who have called and said, hey, I'm new at this. Can you help me? I don't know what I'm doing. And I say yes. And I try to help them as much as I can and just answer their specific questions there. But I've also asked them if they would, or if they were coming to this and going to watch this or listen to it or whatever you're doing, sleep through it. And they said yes. And I said, if you'll do that, then I'll tell you a little bit about what's going on. So again, my name's Guy. I've been here for 20-some years. Industries was started in the state of West Virginia in 1939. It was created by the legislature. And for those of you that don't realize this, it's not a thing that only is West Virginia has, but there is an industries program, a correctional industries or prison industries program, whatever they want to call it, in every state in the union. And when it was first started in West Virginia, it was to do two things. Number one, it was to make license plates for our state. And number two, it was to help the state save some money by providing those license plates. And then after it had been here for a little bit, they came to understand that it gave inmates jobs, and active inmates are less likely to be sitting around trying to think up ways to cause trouble in the prison. So now, after that time, we have expanded and we have industries programs in all 8 state prisons. Now, I want to say that again, all 8 state prisons. That does not include regional jails, because we don't have programs in regional jails, nor do we have them in juvenile facilities. I've been asked a lot, why do you not do that? And it's, to be honest with you, if you think about it, it's kind of simple, because most people that are in regional jails, they don't spend enough time there to teach them a trade. They spend time there and then they're transferred to a prison. Our jobs in the prisons are, they're the most wanted jobs that are there. And there's a couple of reasons for that. Number one is our jobs are consistent. Our people work every day. You know, I know that you've driven down the interstate or you've been along a state highway somewhere and you see a van sitting along a sign that says caution state inmates. And these people go to work for highways. And I'm not saying anything bad about highways either, because that's a good program. But the thing about I'm trying to tell you is, if it's raining or if it's snowing real bad, they don't go to work. So if they don't go to work, they don't get paid. In our situation, they come to work every day. At least they did until 2020 hit. And our people, they get paid. Some people don't understand that, but they do get paid. We have the best paying jobs within the prison. And you can make a note of this. They start out at $0.25 an hour. And all you females out there that are listening that wonder and think that you're going to hire a millionaire when they get out, they cap out at $1.15. So they don't get rich, but it does give them money to spend at the commissary, it gives some of them money to send home, and it does keep them busy. Like I said, up until 2020. We can only sell products to state agencies, people that get state funding. About 4 or 5 years ago, the legislature passed a law where we can sell to 501c3 nonprofits if they have a certificate. People that get any kind of state funding are eligible to buy our products. I talked to a lady Wednesday who, after she found out about our program, because she is new in purchasing where she is, and hopefully she's listening, but she said, "Can I buy?" I said, "Nope," as fast as I could say it. And the reason for that is a lot of companies, and I don't blame them, they think that we have an unfair advantage on labor. And when you get right down to it, they're right. We do have a captive labor force, and $1.15 capping out, people out in the private sector, they just can't compete with those wages. So we can only sell to people who are eligible. We do not sell outside the state of West Virginia except for one product, and that's our Braille program. The other thing that makes us a little different, we have unfair advantages to me that private sectors have. And I'm going to give you one example. I tell this almost every year that I've given this presentation. because it is a great example. I don't know how many of you have ever seen our maximum security prison up at Mount Olive. It's in Fayette County, sits up on top of a hill, about 8 miles up a holler. And it's a big complex. At Mount Olive, they have what we call pods, and that's where the inmates are housed. They are in cells. They're not dormitories. They are in cells. There's 2, sometimes 3 to a cell, but they're back up on the hill. They are inside the fence. They have to go through razor wire and everything else to get up, but they're up on the hill. And if they get up in the morning up there and it's foggy and the guy standing up in the tire can't see up there to those pods, we get what's called a code yellow, and our inmates cannot come to work just because it's foggy. Now, don't you wish you had a job like that? Once that fog clears and they clear that code, then they can go to work. If that's there all day, then we're down all day, and there's nothing we can do about it. We are at the mercy of the wardens of our prison, and that's fine because they allow us to hire these inmates, and they are the ones that are responsible. If an inmate escapes, they don't come to our industry supervisor and blame them. That's not what happens. That's all on the back of the warden. Other than that, we feel pretty confident that what we do is good. We do a lot of training. We have some really good programs that are specialized. We have a lot of people that do a lot of sewing, a lot of reupholstery. We have guys that build furniture, and we've even had people call our shops and say, hey, when you have somebody that makes parole or serves out their term and gets out, send them to me because I want to hire them. And we're pretty proud of that. 2020, man, that was hard on us. It still is hard on us to now. I just want to give you a couple examples, and I'm not making excuses for anything that we do. I don't want you to think that, but it's been hard. It's been hard for a couple of reasons. Number one, I just want to start with this. Industries was responsible for distributing all the PPE equipment to all the institutions throughout the state. Now, don't get me wrong, we didn't deliver all of it all the time. Most of the time, they came and picked it up. But, again, you're looking at 8 prisons, you're looking at 10 regional jails, you're looking at 10 juvenile facilities, you're looking at all the youth reporting facilities, all the parole facilities throughout the state. And we had all this stuff in our showroom, or in our warehouse, I'm sorry. Just to give you an example, at one time we had 4 million masks in our warehouse. And right now we still have pallets loaded with hand sanitizer, masks, you name it. If they needed it, we had it. Betty Slack, who many of you know, and I miss really, really bad because she's left us and gone up to DOC Central Office, DOCR, I should say, Central Office. She was in charge of all that. She did a great job. And I wish these guys would hear this, because we had a couple of inmates that came over from Charleston Work Release or Charleston Correctional Center that really just took control of that. They knew where all that stuff is. When someone calls and says, hey, I need this, we just went to them and said, hey, get this ready. They're either going to come and pick it up or we're going to take it to them as fast as we can. And like I said, generally they came and got it, which was great. We had lockdowns like you wouldn't believe. We had a lot of time that we didn't even have a couple of inmates come over to our warehouse from the correctional center. And if you hear me say work release center, they're interchangeable because that's what it used to be called. But COVID within the prisons itself sometimes was really tough. We had some supervisors that were out at times because they tested positive. We had a lot of workers that were out at times because they tested positive. at times we just had entire shops locked down. And I want to give you a good example. And I'm not making excuses, but everybody that's ever dealt with our furniture shop knows that Charlie George, Jeff Weiss, and Russell Ratzer up there will jump through hoops to do anything they can to try to get your products built and out. Charlie, uh, I tell you, over the 11 years that Charlie's been here, he and I have become very close. We do a lot of stuff together. And I've seen him stand and look people in the eye, and they'll say, how long is this warranted? And he'll say, as long as I'm working for Industries, I'll come and fix it for you. And they'll say, oh, well, I'd like to have something. Can you build this? And again, he'll look up in the eye and he'll say, I can build it if you can pay for it. So, those guys, they are great. But here's the problem that has hit them. In 2020, his entire shop was shut down for 17 straight weeks. He didn't have one worker. And just to give you a better understanding of why, Huntsville, unlike most of the other prisons we have, they don't have individual cells, or they don't have cells that have 2 inmates in them. They have dormitories where they have 40, 50, 60 people in the same dorm. I say all, but I saw Charlie Wednesday, and he told me he thinks that there might be 4 who are not in, but most of our people are in the same dorm. If one of those guys tests positive, they're locked down, they're quarantined. And that went on for 17 weeks in a row. He didn't have a saw. He didn't start a saw. He didn't do anything. And then about the end of February, beginning of March, he got all of them back except for 5, and just went great guns and was starting to catch up. Did a lot of work. I even went with him on my days off down to one of the state parks to deliver furniture with him 2 weeks in a row. And he told me, he said, man, we're getting caught up. He said, we're making some pieces, right and left, individual pieces, and trying to make people happy. And he said, I think we're finally going to get back to where we need to be. And then 2 weeks ago, this past Wednesday, he got shut down again. He had 1 inmate and 13 correctional officers test positive. Now, I'm not telling you they got sick. I'm telling you they tested positive. And that really is not a big difference when you're in that kind of a situation and in that environment. They told him they would lock him down for 10 days, and that last Friday he would get everyone back. Well, that didn't come to pass either, because they had some more test positive. He's going to be shut down for at least 2 more weeks, he told me Wednesday. And hopefully that's all it'll be. I mean, and that's, there have been times up there where there have just been hundreds of inmates that test positive. And I don't hold that against the warden. I'd like for them to somehow say, hey, we'll give you some that are not testing positive, and we'll kind of quarantine them and keep them away from the rest of them. But they really don't have the space, and they don't, to do something like that. They don't have the bedding. It's just an almost impossible situation. So I do want to tell you this, and I told him Wednesday I was going to do this. I hope if you're still awake and you have a pencil in your hand, I want you to take down a phone number. And it's 304-335-2958. That is the phone number to the furniture shop in Huntsville. And the reason I'm giving you that is because I have a lot of people send me emails, call me, where's my order? I don't know. I don't have any idea. And, I'll tell you that, hey, I'll call Charlie, or I'll send him an email. Sometimes it gets lost. Sometimes it just doesn't happen. So I told him, I said, Charlie, I'm going to ask these people to call you or contact you. Now, another way you can get a hold of Charlie is on our website, which is www.untitled wvcorrectionalindustries.com. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you don't spell that right, you're not going to get there. But we have a contact us page. And if you go on that page, Charlie's email is there. The email to every shop that we have and phone number is there. So you can call and check any order you want. But I am particularly concerned with Charlie and your furniture order because of the lockdown and a couple other things.
Would you give the number one more time?
The number to Charlie's, now this is a direct number straight to the shop. It's 304-335-2951. Now, I ask this question every time we have this presentation. And this is for the newer people that have asked me to talk about some of this stuff, is why should you buy from us? I have several reasons. This is one of the questions that I always ask and I get a lot of interaction from. I'm not going to use these in any particular order, but I'm going to tell you my feelings about it. Number one is it keeps your money in our state. We used to, at the end of every year, for the state used to let us keep $1.5 million in our account. And then everything over that went to general fund. Well, a few years back, and I'm not going to lie to you, I don't know exactly how many years back it was, because corrections was needing so much money, what they did was instead of taking that money and sticking it in general fund, they took our money from us. I mean, July 1st, look out, it was swept from our account and stuck right in the general fund for corrections. Believe it or not, that does help every other agency around here because the money that would have been taken from them to stick into corrections account is coming from us. Another reason is, and I've got something here. I don't know if I can hold it up. You can see it. There it is. That's called West Virginia Code. And when corrections, or when the legislature established correctional industries, which at that time was called prison industries, it's called Article 5B-1. It's S28 5B-1. And I'm going to do something here I don't like to do, so just hold on with me. It'll take me about 2 minutes to do this, maybe not that long. But this is what this code says in general. And like I said, this was in 1939, and it says, on and after the effective date of this article, all offices, departments, institutions, and agencies of this state, which are supported in whole or in part by this state, shall purchase from the State Commissioner of Public Institutions all articles or products required by such offices, departments, institutions, agencies, or political subdivisions of this state. Now, I'm going to skip down a little bit and tell you one more thing, and then I'll explain that to you. It says at the bottom of the next paragraph of 5B-5, no such office, department, institution, or agency shall be allowed to evade the intent and meaning of this section by slight variations from standards adopted by the State Commissioner of Public Institutions when the articles or products produced or manufactured by the Commissioner in accordance with the standards are reasonably adapted to the actual needs of such office, department, institution, or agency. Now, that tells you two things. Number one, if you receive money from the state, by code, you're supposed to buy from us. That's a big order. That's a big order for us. I'm not going to lie to you. If everybody followed that, we couldn't keep up. There's just no way, especially our printing needs, some of the other things that happen. I would say right now within our state, we probably do 25% of all the printing that is done. But the other thing is, if we can't do it, or you don't want it, you need to get a waiver. And unfortunately, I'm the person that gives that waiver, and sometimes I don't do that. We have 57 people from the private sector that we have employed, and those people depend on us selling stuff. And I kind of a long time ago took the view that if I gave waivers to people just because they didn't like black instead of blue, that I was hurting these people's income. So I'm a little hard sometimes on that. But there are times that I know that I can't do anything about it. And in those situations, I'm not hard to get along with, and I'll grant that waiver. The other thing is, the second part that I read to you, is just because, like I said, you want black instead of blue, or you want this chair with a black mesh back instead of, or a red mesh back instead of a black one, that's no reason for you to ask for a waiver. We don't have to give you a waiver. I don't feel bad about not giving you a waiver. So that's for you new people out there. That is a big thing, a really big thing. That was Teresa beating on something over here. The other thing is, I think is a big advantage of dealing with us is that we only charge a $15 delivery fee. Now, everything that we deliver comes out of our warehouse in Charleston. I know this sounds crazy to some of you, but there are a lot of times we take furniture from Huntsville, chairs from Trinity, printing from Moundsville, bring it all the way to Charleston, and then turn around and take it right back up to the same area. But that's our way of keeping up with it. And, if you live or your agency is in Martinsburg, we bring you something in one of our trucks or even in a van from Charleston for $15. People that don't buy the gasoline from Charleston to Clarksburg, much less pay for all that over there and back. That's a huge advantage. Another advantage that kind of goes right along with that is if you have problems with our stuff, we'll come and pick it up. If we can't fix it there, we come and pick it up, take it back, get it fixed, and then bring it back to you. And we'll do that until we get it right. That's why we call corrections. We keep doing it until we get it correct. Our warranty is really strong. We warrant all of our work. If you look at the chairs that you receive from our warehouse, and if you turn it up, look at the bottom of the seat, it has on there in a marker when that chair was made. And I know for sure because we just had a chair go bad and went and picked it up Wednesday, and I turned it up and looked at the bottom of it. It was made March 10th, 2019. We don't have any problems with that. We'll just warrant it. We'll take it back. We'll either get it fixed, we'll replace it, give you a new one, do whatever we need to do. And, if you do that with some other company, and I'm not stepping on any toes here, I don't talk bad about other people's products or other companies. I just try to sell our good points. But if you did that, then you have to pay shipping to get it back. And then when they send it back to you, you have to pay shipping again for a lot of them. So that's a huge advantage. But the thing that seems to pop out every time I bring this up, and probably is the biggest advantage that we have from buying from us, is that you don't have to bid anything if you purchase from Correctional Industries. I don't care if you're buying $150,000 to $200,000 worth of goods from us, which happens more times than you would imagine. You don't have to bid it. You just send me an order, or most times people, I'm going to give you a good example here, and I hope this doesn't upset them. I won't tell you the name of it. One of the state hospitals, they buy a lot of what we call intensive use furniture. It's very heavy duty. It's made by a company called Norex. And Norex, I can tell you the name, I'll give you their phone number because I'll tell you right now, they won't sell to you. They only sell to industry's programs. And if you call them and ask them for a quote, they'll ask you where you're at. And if you say, I'm in Elkins, West Virginia, then they'll give you our phone number. Say, call here and they'll get you a quote. But this hospital, at least 2 times that I know of, maybe 3, have bought about $150,000 worth of furniture for us. And all they do is call me, say, get me a quote. I get them a quote from Norix. I send it back to them. They send me a PO and we get them what they need. And it doesn't get any easier than that. I know I don't do any purchasing at all. I order some filing cabinets for us and I order some sit-stand stations, but it's never a huge amount of money. But I do know that if you are a purchaser in your agency and you need a lot of stuff, I know that bidding process can be a pain in your, side. So that no bidding, regardless of the amount that you need, that is a huge, huge advantage for us. And believe me, I take advantage of that as much as I can. The other thing these people are always have asked me, these news people, how do I order products from industries? Well, I'll tell you, our preferred way is from our website. Again, that's www.wvcorrectionalindustries.com. It's kind of, you can order from it and you can order easy. It's easy to order from that website. There may be times that you'll need something that you won't find on there. I'm not going to lie to you. We don't have the bandwidth of our website to put everything on there we make. We don't have pictures, images to put everything on there we make. We just can't do it. And then last June, when they tried to migrate from our old website to this website, they went from one type of platform to another, and man, was it a pain in the side. But if you even read the first page, it said, please be with us as we're making changes. And if you go to that website and you have problems, then contact me, contact someone in our office. If you contact someone in our office, generally they're going to transfer you to me. I'll help you. I'll help you because it's real easy. One thing I would like to point out when you do this, there are 2 sections on there for names and addresses and phone numbers. One of them is a billing address and one of them is a shipping address. And if the shipping address is different than the billing address, I would really like for you to put a contact name and phone number of the person that's going to be at that shipping address. If something's going to Martinsburg and it's being ordered from the Department of Education here in Charleston, it doesn't do me any good to call Dwayne Maxey and say, hey, Dwayne, I'm going to deliver this chair. And he's going to say, God, don't come here. It goes to Martinsburg. I don't have any name or phone number to call. And that happens a lot. And that Dwayne doesn't do that. But I just use that as an example because it popped into my head. The other thing about that address that we would really prefer you to do, because if you don't do this, and I get it, I'm going to call you and ask you anyhow. Do not put a P.O. box down there as a delivery address, because I don't know how many of you have ever tried to stuff a 36 by 72 inch desk into a post office box, but it just don't go. So we need an address, we need a phone number, we need a person's name to call so we can say, hey, we're coming, we're going to be there tomorrow. If we need it, if it's furniture and we need to give you some kind of advance notice, or if you ask for it. Another way to do that is to order is by email. You can send me an email. You can send an email to the shop that you're going to purchase something for. Again, if you go to the website, the contact us page, there'll be a person's name and an email address there that you can get in touch with someone. I'm going to say this right now, just contradict what I said. If you go to printing, you're going to see Bob Whitehead's name there, and Bob's not there anymore, but we don't have a supervisor to fill that position yet, so you'll need to use that phone number. But if you'll send an email telling us what you want, and then giving us that information that I just told you that you needed to fill out on the website, a billing and a shipping address, a contact name, and a phone number, and a purchase order number. Now, I get people that get real upset when I say purchase order numbers. On our websites, if you don't put a purchase order number in there, you can't complete the order. It will not let you do it. That purchase order number is used for us for one thing, and that's a tracking device for us. And if you don't want to use a agency PO number, put your initials and the date that you ordered it. That's all it takes. Once you do that and hit the send, then it goes. That's just the way for us to do it. I don't know. I have never had anybody call me and say, hey, somebody's used a PO number that we won't accept. It's just our way of tracking. The other thing it does for me is if I see those initials, I pretty much know who's ordered that. So if somebody calls and says, we've got this invoice and I don't know who ordered it, I can figure it out. And the last thing is phone. Phone me, phone the shop. I'll take your information over the phone. The shop will take your information over the phone again. Get that information from the shop off the contact us page. Call them. But I will tell you this, and they will also ask you to send an email to confirm that order. So we have a paper trail. That's just protecting our own rear end. If there's anything else that or another way that you could figure out to do that, we'd be more glad to do it, but I don't know. Website, email, phone. One other or two other things I want to talk about. Doing all right on time? Okay. Price increases. I know that if you're living and breathing and you've been someplace to a grocery store or even Walmart or any place else, gas stations, you've noticed that things have gone up a little bit. Now I'm going to tell you the truth. If you go to our website, you haven't seen a whole lot of price increases. But again, with talking to Charlie Wednesday, some of our furniture prices are going to go up. Not a whole lot, according to him. Not a whole lot at all. Some of our chairs went up. Our Maximus chair, our Canoa chair, they really took a big jump. And another thing that has really happened is the cost of fabric. Now, I don't really understand why, but I do know this. The fabrics that we can still get have increased probably 4 times in the last year. But we have lost a lot of the fabric options that we used to have. We have lost fabric options that we had from the time I started to work at Industries until 2020. And the reason for that is COVID. And they didn't shut down the fabric, they shut down the entire mill. We get fabric from a company called Douglas Fabrics out of Egg Harbor, New Jersey. And 3 times in 6 weeks, we got an email. Well, to be honest with you, I got a phone call. And the reason they called me is because I know those people and they haven't been able to get in here since the other guy was here. So they called me and they said, hey, look, we had to discontinue this. And I asked them why, and I said, is it just the fabric, or is there a particular pattern, or is it the whole thing? And they said, no, the whole mill has shut down. 3 of the mills that Douglas Fabric got stuff from completely closed down. One of them took 156 people out of their job because of COVID. So the fabric themselves has gone up, and the choice of fabrics has really diminished. I asked, this guy's name's Andy Farquhar. I said, Andy, are they going to have new patterns to put in their place? And he said, I don't think so. He said, there's not people to work. They can't get materials. So they're probably where they're at right now. They'll be there for 5 years before they can make any improvements. One other thing I want to talk to you about is new products. You know, I always enjoy going to purchasing conference, whether it was at Camp Dawson or Canaan Valley or wherever it may have been, uh, because I love taking new products there and showing them to people and getting some kind of a feedback on whether they liked them or not, if this was something that we could sell, if it would be worth our time to invest getting the equipment in the shop to make it or produce it, or even get a contract with the vendor to do it. Well, we don't have any new products. And I hate to say that. As a matter of fact, here on my notes where I said new products, I got one word written beside it. It says, ha. We get new products and we see new products when we go to what's called SECIA, which is the South Central Correctional Industries Association Conference, which is held every 2 years. And it is a conference of 10 states, us in Virginia and everything south of us, clear over to Georgia and Mississippi. And we haven't had that conference, of course. And then every year since 2010, Betty, Eddie, and I think I missed it once, we will go to NCIA, which is the National Correctional Industries Association Conference. And at these conferences like the NCIA, they generally have somewhere between 175 and 250 vendors that are there. They have their products, they're just pushing everything under the sun to try to get you to sell their stuff. But a lot of it's very good. It's very informative. Not only that, if you look at a product and you think you might want to sell it, you can talk to them and they'll tell you who else is doing it. You can go talk to them right there at that conference and say, hey, listen, we're thinking about selling this. How's it doing for you? What's it going to cost initially to get your shop set up to do it? And we made some good decisions there. We made some bad decisions there too, but that's the way it goes sometimes. We haven't been to an NCI conference. They haven't had one for the last 2 years. They are going to have one this year. It's in September. It's in Indianapolis. I know Eddie's going to go, and hopefully he might find something new that he thinks we can sell that might be new and useful to you or us. Again, we're always looking for something. Another thing that I can tell you is we're looking for ideas for things. You know, if your agency needs something that we don't produce right now that you think that we could produce, and you know, I'm going to tell you, if you need 10 pillows, you know, we can make that for you, and we can do whatever you want. But that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for something that we can put in an industry's facility that will maybe employ minimum of 6, maybe up to 15 people, and have to use it every day. That's the kind of things that we look for. The other way we get ideas is we see vendors. Our vendors come to our showroom over on Leon Sullivan Way. I was just telling Teresa before we started here. She said, where are you located? And I said, 617 Leon Sullivan Way, but you can't get there from Leon Sullivan Way. You have to come down Piedmont Road to get there. On August the 10th, I had a guy named Ryan Blaha, believe it or not. He is a vendor that represents a company called OEI. OEI is where we buy breathe chairs, and I know everybody listening knows what a breathe chair is. Like I said, August the 10th, he was the first vendor that I had seen since February the 28th of last year. They took all those people off the road. Of course, with COVID the way it was, I wouldn't want to be flying on airplanes like those people did either. They just didn't let them travel. And, that's kind of just copies what our business was like. My replacement didn't get out a lot last year. I didn't get out a lot last year. I had people call me and say, when are we going to get some stuff? Now, this actually happened more than one time. They would say, we've had this stuff ordered. When are we going to get it? And I would go downstairs and I would talk to Floyd Keeney. And I'm going to give you Floyd's phone number here in just a minute, because Floyd is the guy that makes up the delivery schedule. I didn't ask him for his permission, but I would go ask him about it. And I'd say, Floyd, it's sitting right over there in the warehouse. When are we going to get this delivered? And he would say, God, we tried to deliver it, but they won't let us in their office because of COVID. So we ran into that problem more times than you can shake a stick. Okay, what's your question?
This is related to the impacts of the pandemic. Is the showroom open for agencies to come by and take a look around?
Every day from 8 to 4. And I'm glad you asked that. I was going to get to that because I do want to tell you this. I'm off today, just in case you're wondering. I don't know how I got roped into doing this. Some of the advantages of being a temp is you don't have to work every day. Well, I don't work Mondays or Fridays. I do work Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, and sometimes I don't even work Wednesdays, not gonna lie to you. And I'm not working at all next week. Because I did retire from the state and I get a retirement check from the state, I can only work so many hours a year. Now, I know last year the legislature passed a law that says, they did away with that 1,000-hour temp contract. You can work as many hours as you want. The only thing they didn't tell you is it messes with your retirement check. I'm not going to let that happen. I know what I'm going to make. I'm going to keep it at that. I get people. This is another thing I wanted to tell you. It's kind of funny, but people say, "Why are you still doing this?" Well, I'll tell you. Number one is COVID, because I can't get out and do things I'd like to do. But that first month and a half I was retired, I got the first Social Security check, then I got my first retirement check, then I got my second Social Security check, and then I came back to work and I worked a month, and then all of a sudden I was getting a regular paycheck every other week. I was getting a Social Security check. I was getting a retirement check. And if you ain't figured it out by yet, 4 checks a month are better than 2. And that's all I can tell you. But we are open. And even though I won't be there on Mondays or Fridays, there are people there that will let you in. I'm glad to see you. Our director, Eddie, is there almost every day. He'll take you in, show you around, help you out, do whatever you want to do. We have a lady named Jennifer. I hope she's not listening right now, because she'll kill me if she is, because her plate's full since Betty left. But Jennifer was real good about helping people in the showroom too. But it is open. Almost everything we have as far as furniture, seating, we even have engraving samples there, sign samples there. We have samples of our janitorial supplies. We'd love for you to come down. We would love for you to come down. And again, if you need me or someone to come to your office to give you some help, as far as measuring furniture or just doing whatever that you think we can do. Now, I will tell you this. I had somebody ask if we come and clean chairs. No, we don't do cleaning. We reupholster chairs and we sell cleaning supplies, but we can't do it ourselves. I'm pretty much done, and I've gone about 10 minutes longer than I thought I would. But if you have any questions, You better ask him quick because Teresa's trying to push me out of this chair. I just want to thank you for listening. If you're still there and if you are awake or if your pillow didn't fall off your desk and you hit your head. But if you have any questions, again, feel free to call me at the office, send me an email. It's the same as it's always been for the last 15 years. But thanks for listening. See you later.